Welcome. I'm so glad to be here with our panel on workplace well-being, creating a productive and positive culture. We're here today with 4 women who are owners or co-owners of their private practices, and we can't wait to hear from them. First, we have Dr. Brittani Carver-Schemper from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Dr. Tania Sobchuk joins us from Lake Havasu, Arizona. Dr. Paula Newsome is in practice in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Dr. Suzy Lake is near Kansas City, Missouri. Thank you all for being here. Culture is sort of loosely defined as how we do things around here, but it's not quite that easy to interpret and to make significant and in your practices. So I'm wondering if you can tell us how culture is different from, say, a standard operating procedures manual. Dr. Sobchuk, can we start with you?
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. Thanks for having us here today. This is a topic near and dear to my heart, so I'm really excited to speak on it. But I think culture is one of those things that's an underlying structure in an organization. And it does stop, I believe it starts from the top down, obviously. So a procedure manual, it allows us to understand our systems and how we can improve our delivery of those systems, whereas culture is something that I think is inherent in a practice. It's that underlying feeling that you get when you walk through the door. And so I think it's something that in some ways it's hard to define because it's not written down like a procedure manual. It is one of those, it's more of a feeling than an actual, something that's written down. So I think one of the most important things in establishing culture, though, is to make sure that it starts right from the get-go, right from the point of placing your help wanted ad. And I know that Dr. Suzy Lake is is an expert in this area. And so, Dr. Lake, how do you plant the seed of culture in your office?
Thank you, Dr. Sobchuk. We list out our core values in our Help Wanted ad, and we try to do it in a kind of fun, playful way. Our Help Wanted ads are almost notoriously long because we really line out what we're looking for, who we're looking for, and the feel. You mentioned feel. I think that was a brilliant way to describe culture because it really is a feel of how your practice and your work family is. We have 6 core values, and I think 4 of them are kind of benign and the normal: service, integrity, all those, but we have 2 that we emphasize a lot in our Help Wanted ads. And those are: we show up and we have fun. And one of the things that we just line out in our Help Wanted ads is we say one of our core values is we show up. What does that mean? That means if you're throwing up, you stay home. If you have the sniffles, you come in. We have Kleenex, even the fancy kind with lotion. So we try to make it like a fun, playful part of the ad, but we also want to emphasize we're a small company. We don't have room for people to call in and not fill in because we work as a group, and we want that established firmly at the beginning because we're a family, right? And I know that Dr. Carver-Schemper, you do a lot of work as building a family environment, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. We have 2 practices, and so we have about 15 employees, and the average time that my employees have been with me, except for a few newcomers within the last 6 months, are averaged over 7.5 years with us. So we're definitely family, and I think that's unique. Not every business or practice can actually say, hey, we're a family, because you really have to care about each other, and that's a big part of our culture, 100%.
So, Dr. Newsome, your culture in your practice extends actually outside of the 4 walls of the building. Can you tell us about your cultural outreach, really, the annual day of service?
Absolutely, I can. But I'd also like to just speak a little bit, if you don't mind, to what Dr. Carver just said. Even when you call our office, our front desk people are the people who pick up the phones, and that could be anybody who's near the phone when it's ringing. We say, thank you for calling our Advantage Vision Center, where we care, because care is at the center of our cultural values. And then just taking that a little bit further, I have done and have been doing international mission work throughout the country, throughout the world for years. But one day I was talking to a patient and decided that they were talking about somebody in the community that didn't have insurance. So I said, you know, I've been doing mission work in the world, South Africa, Haiti, Jamaica, South America, but what about people right here in Charlotte that don't have insurance? So about 6 years ago, we started our day of service. It's an annual day of service. We have it on a Saturday. Everybody, nobody gets paid for that day. I usually always pay the team members, but I always tell them I'm not going to pay them. It's all volunteer. And we all come in and we see patients for free, and we do whatever is needed to be done that day because we truly do care.
That's awesome. And I think being able to express that to your patients, I mean, to your patients, but also to your staff is critically important. Dr. Sobchuk, you and I talked a little bit about a recent pop-up poll that Women in Optometry did about kind of the integration of culture into the office conversation. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that culture starts with having a shared mission and shared values, just like Dr. Lake said. I think core values are having that and showing that and exemplifying that to your team all the time is really important. So, our mission statement, for example, is in our break room. It's in huge letters up on the wall. Actually, I have my iPad or my mouse pad here. It's on everybody's mouse pad. So just, having that mission consistently in front of all of the teams so that they know, and we kind of quiz people when they first start too. We give them a week or two, and then we'll call on them in a team meeting and say, hey, what's our mission statement? And we kind of make it a fun game. And so I think that's super important. One of our most important core values is that we're drama free, and that's actually our first one. I think our second one is have fun, but being drama free is super important, and that's something we emphasize even coming into an interview. Just really keeping any personal stuff outside of the office and just really enjoying your time. We spend more time with our work family sometimes than we do at home with our families, and so I think it's really important that we all share those core values. So I think that bringing it in daily and having it in front of everybody, I think is a really good thing.
And Dr. Newsome, do your conversations around your day of caring, or just in general with the care philosophy that you put forward, is that something you reinforce with staff?
Absolutely. We absolutely do. In fact, right now, we've got voter registration going on in the lobby of the office, which again is just a way of saying we're not just an eye practice. We are here. We're a holistic practice, and we care. We care about you. We care about the community. We care about the United States. We care about the world. And so we make sure that all of that is consistent, because you can't just say it if you don't implement it.
Oh, that gives me chills. Dr. Carver-Schemper, what do you do to sort of reinforce the concepts of your culture?
Well, we have, like I said earlier, we have 2 practices, and I really think it's important for us who have multiple practices to have staff meetings. I know it takes time away from patient care and revenue coming in. It was a big step for us when we started to do that, but it is time well needed and deserved. We definitely get all of our staff together. We talk about, why are we here? What are we doing? What we're doing, especially with this time now. It seems that staff sometimes are having a little bit harder time. They're down sometimes. And I think a lot of it's just not being able to go to the movies or go out for dinner as easy as they used to. So bringing them together and just reinforcing, why are we here? Why are we here to serve others and help people is great. I personally, every place that I go, every office I go in the morning, I have a quick powwow with my staff. We look at the schedule. One of my core values is choose joy. I just am a joyful person. I love everybody around me to be joyful. It makes the day easier. So we talk about that. We talk about What can we do to make this day amazing and serve others? So I think that's important to always, always communicate with your staff.
I'm writing that down. Choose joy. That's a good one.
Awesome.
I love that too. There's just so much positivity here. Dr. Lake, can you add to that?
Well, we've actually started doing a culture calendar. And so we let people know ahead of time too, what's coming. We tried to do a couple of surprise days early on in our practice of people would show up and we would have something fun planned for them. It actually tended to raise a little anxiety amongst some of our staff because, they were always cautious about what was coming. So we started to just design a culture calendar telling them, hey, in January, we know that the third week of January is studies have shown it's the most depressing week of the year. So we have a most depressing week of the year celebration where every single day we're handing out little treats or just giving, atta-girls or atta-boys to our staff. And then in February, it's Love Day. So we're going to make sure that we're giving lots of love out to each other. And then they kind of know what's coming and they get excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, it is.
I'm feeling
it is.
that.
I wrote that down.
I did too.
Awesome.
I did too.
Well, listening to these great ideas makes me also think, because I know Dr. Sobchuk and I have talked about this, she has a Zen Room, which I think might be one of the few in the country. You want to tell us what a Zen Room is?
Well, right. It's a small room. The concept actually came from my mom. And her name is Fenella. Her nickname is Fen, so we call it Fen's Zen Room. Basically, it's painted in her favorite color, which is purple. And when I built the building, we had the contractor make some extra soundproofing in that area. And so it has a massage chair in it. It has an iPad with, we can turn on soothing music. It has a really soothing light, so people can go in there and they can, scream if they want to, or, well, maybe not, but at least they can, they can sit in the massage chair, they can relax. I've had several team members who were nursing, and that was the area that we chose where they could pump and they could do what needed to be done for their child who is at home. So I have an associate doctor right now who is using it for that. But yeah, we kind of give everyone leeway. If you need 5 minutes and you need to go and decompress, or something bad's happened, or, you're having a tough time, or your tooth hurts, or whatever it is, you can go in there and have leeway. And it's really been, I think it's just a really nice break, for people. And to be honest, it doesn't get overused, which is kind of nice, because I've had people say, well, wouldn't your staff be in there all the time? But they're really not. They're very respectful, and they use it when they need it. And sometimes someone spends their whole lunch hour in there getting massaged and, taking a nap, and that's okay. So that's our Zen Room, and it was my mom's kind of idea and concept, and it's really worked well. So
does anyone else have a really kind of unique feature that sort of exemplifies your culture? It doesn't have to be a physical space, but is there something that people say, oh, I got to do that? I mean, I've heard the calendar, which I think is a great idea, and
it's hard to top a Zen Room.
I know. That's
well, I don't know. I had my massage therapist come in one Friday afternoon. We don't see patients on Friday afternoons. I don't see patients on Friday afternoons. So I had my massage therapist come in, and she gave everybody a 15 or 30-minute chair massage, and they thought I walked on water. But it was kind of nice because some of the women had never had massage before. So it was just a very nice feature. And we set up one of the rooms. It wasn't a Zen room, but it was just one of our regular exam rooms. And she went in there and brought them in, and everybody took turns. Of course, nobody did any work at the end of the day, but it was okay. It was Friday afternoon.
Yeah, all feeling good, right? Anyone else, Dr. Lake or Dr. Carver? Anything that kind of exemplifies your
We did this year, especially, I'm sure all of you can relate, during the summer when we were all trying to make up, appointment slots from being closed down. And for some reason, everyone's phones went crazy after this quarantine. And so our staff was so just burnt out. They were tired of being on the phone. They were overworked trying to, follow all the safety rules and the social distancing. So we just lined out what we called a mental health day, and we spaced it out. We have 4 locations. We spaced it out so the whole company wasn't off at the same time, but each location closed at noon. We paid for the staff to go out to lunch together and paid for their meals and a drink, and they absolutely loved it. And what I found is that not only strengthens internally because they know you care about them, their mental health, their fatigue levels, but 9 times out of 10, they social media that out to their friends saying, hey, look what our bosses thought we needed, because they care about how tired we are and run down, and they sent us to do this. And so it becomes a PR piece as well.
Exactly.
It does.
We're normally, before COVID, once a month, we do a team building, bowling and zip lining. We've done that before. But since COVID, obviously not as much. So we're doing little pop-up happy hours. Smaller groups, we bring a couple hors d'oeuvres in, a couple drinks, and just let them have just a mental break. And that, it works great. They do love it. But I think I'm going to go for a Zen Room. Yeah.
I don't know, I might do pop-up happy hour. That sounds
nice. That's great. And now, has anyone had the experience of saying this culture isn't defined or isn't exactly what we want it to be? It's kind of going in the wrong direction, and you took some steps. Dr. Sobchuk, I think you started was it the Great Game?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. That was a few years ago. So we were kind of at that time where we were in between where we were, growing, and where we were going kind of from one level to the next, I guess. And I had this feeling that the team was ready for more. And so I attended a seminar on the Great Game of Business, and really thought, you know what, this is something that I think would be a really cool way to introduce a new culture, a new kind of like shift it a little bit. And so it really is a way of opening the books. It's an open book management. You're transparent with your team about your expenses and your costs and things like that are above the line. And so we introduced it to them, and it's absolutely taken off. And it did shift our culture to one of, everybody thinks like owners now. So even though they're not technically, they do have that mentality. And so that was a big culture shift, and has really allowed us to, focus on the practice and the numbers and that kind of thing. But I think it really brought everybody together and felt like they were a part of something bigger. A lot of people said, no boss has ever done this for me before. So, and I think it's helped them in their daily lives too, as far as, balancing checkbooks even, and really taking care of personal finances. So I think it's created a really a big increase in that type of culture, where we're feeling more connected and like everyone's a part of ownership. So that's something that happened with us.
You even did, because you operate that, Dr. Sobchuk, at such a high level. It's so impressive how you do that in your practice. And you even did a big game where you guys did a trip, didn't you, at the end?
Yeah, we did. So a couple of years we've done that now. And last year we made the goal. It was a trip to Sedona. So we're in Arizona, and we kind of had a roundtable discussion at our retreat. We have a team retreat every January, and I put it out to them, like, what would you like to do? And so they had all these ideas, and we ended up going to Sedona. We rented a big house. There was, we had 16, I think at the time, or 18 who went, and we had a spa day. We went horseback riding. We went on a pink Jeep tour, and we did it all as a team, and it was their reward for the entire year. And it was really amazing. So we're definitely going to do that again in 2021. I can't wait to see what they have for ideas for that.
Don't forget to make sure it's the 3rd week in January, since it's the most depressing week of the year.
I will. It's always in January, so I'll keep that in mind.
Third week.
That's funny. Dr. Newsome, adding your staff into your caring day must have been very different. I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, my boss is often in
Haiti or
Tanzania, or
wherever,
yeah,
yes.
exactly, which is cool, but it's much cooler if they're involved.
Absolutely. And what I found is that, and I give them the option. I say, you don't have to do this, but without exception, all of my team members show up and they are here the entire time. So it's really it's good. I think the more you give, the more you get back. Kind of a Zen type experience. And so I think for them, just the opportunity to be able to share with others things that they perhaps maybe even took for granted that other people knew how to do. Now, all of a sudden, they are the expert in that particular arena, and people view them differently. I've gotten feedback from team members who said things like, I was in the grocery store and Miss So-and-so that we saw at day of service saw me and she just wanted to thank me. And I've never had anybody come up to me in the grocery store and recognize me and then thank me. So yes, I agree.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Dr. Lake, what, have you, when you added sort of your onboarding, your initial thing, was that because people weren't clicking right from the start?
Absolutely. So, one of the things I always joke about is it's really fun to talk about culture when you're in the midst of a positive culture point in your practice. But it's effective when you, I think, can also say, like, we have been in the dumps before, and we have looked around at our staff as a whole and went, this is not where we want to be. This is not where, this isn't the feeling that we are going for. Do we need to do some pruning of staff? Do we need to bring in some fun? Where is the issue? And what we started realizing was that we were just lacking buy-in to the company and what we were about and what our core values were. So we completely revamped how we onboard people. What we learned was that this younger generation, they expect to be courted from the day they are hired. So it isn't waiting for, if they have to give 2 weeks at their job, they want to be hearing from you during those 2 weeks. So we have started, we got some cards that we send them after a hire. We have everybody sign them, telling them how excited we are. We have, and they're very regimented days. We have the office manager call one day, their department lead call one day. So they're constantly getting, even if it's just a voicemail or a text, they're getting communication from us in our office to get them excited for their first day. And then when they walk in the first day, we have a little button that says, I'm new here, and a welcome box that has a coffee mug and just a little pen and paper. And it's very colorful and it's packaged really pretty, just to get them excited again about joining our team and becoming a part of our family. And when we did that, we just saw a slow shift. And I think that's the thing with culture. It's never overnight. It's always a slow burn to get to improvement.
Right. And Dr. Carver, did you just create a practice that had a great culture, or you see the march towards improvement?
Well, definitely a march. I purchased a practice in 2012, and we're ladies here. We say hot mess, right? So it was literally a hot mess. And the owners previously, they honestly they didn't value the employees. So it was really a turnaround for us to come in and just to let them know, hey, we're a team. You're not just an employee. We respect, what you have to offer, and let them know that they're valued. And slowly over time, it has just gotten better and better. Now, there's days, we all have those. But like I said, we just meet every day. We talk about what maybe is going on and how we can improve it. And hopefully day works out.
Fabulous. If you had to sum up one surefire thing to enhance the culture in your practice, what might that be? Dr. Newsome, do you have a tip?
To enhance the culture, say it, mean it, do it, repeat it. You cannot repeat it or not repeat it too often. So just make sure your walk and your talk are consistent.
Awesome. Dr. Lake?
Be honest and transparent. They can see through BS for sure. They know when it's coming, and they will, even if it's not, I always say, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, even if it's not what you want to hear. And if it's not what you want to hear, I'm going to be here to walk through what that looks like and how we can improve it. But I'm not going to lie.
Awesome. Dr. Carver?
I agree with them, and also be a servant leader. Just let them know that you're there for them and that you value them. But like they said, being honest and walk the walk.
And Dr. Sobchuk?
Yeah, I mean that's basically the bottom line is you really have to be it, you have to live it, and you have to repeat it. I think having your values and your mission really clearly stated and really repeated over and over and over again. I mean, and make sure that you yourself and your executive team and your leaders are walking that walk and talking that talk as well, and really building it from the ground up. I think every single day, just making that a focus.
Well, I think you've shared so many great tips. I'm sure there's people scribbling down the culture calendar and the phone script and the Zen Room, But I want to come work for all of you. So I don't know if geographically if that's possible, but I want to thank.
We're always hiring the right people. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I want to thank you all for your time and your insights, and it's just so exciting to hear, that this whole mission of eye care can be a real thrill and a real reward for the people who work for you too. That's just wonderful to hear. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.